Oh, he's already showed up yet. I'm surprised. Starts at 10:55. Thanks. We can get started in about a minute. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. Today, I don't think we're going to have any time to do any physics, unfortunately, because we need to talk about the test. Okay, so I've already sent you an email this PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to go through today. I did that because I wanted you to have the links, the hypertext links, that you just click on it. You don't have to type in the URL or anything. These are some things that you could do right now before, putting off much longer, or maybe right after this meeting, is to prepare for that test. There's a couple things that you need. You need an equation table. I don't mean on your cell phone or in your computer. No, you need a paper version. So you need to print out the equation table. There's also an AP exam checklist, and I'll show that to you later. It's something the College Board put together. It's just a front and back thing. It's actually pretty handy. I would definitely recommend it. And if you have more than one AP test that you're going to have, you really need one of those checklists for each of those classes. So I would like you to print those out right away. That way that way you know whether you have the capability or not. Because if you don't have the capability, I would like you to email me and tell me that you don't. That way I can go into school and make physical copies for you, and we can figure out how to get them to you. Like maybe I can go ahead and make copies and put them in a box at the front of the school, and it'll say AP Physics, and you just go in there and grab it and take it, okay? But I need to know that. We need to know right away. There's a couple other things you can do right now, and that is that you can mark your calendar. You can mark your calendar for May 4th. That's the AP exam demo day. So there's going to be like a practice test. The truth is there's not going to be any physics questions on it. All you're practicing is if you can access the site, the website, and you're also practicing like how you're going to upload your answers. That's this coming Monday. I also want you to put on your calendar the following Monday. So a week from Monday, May 11th, that's your exam. And you need to put on there time 11:30. Somehow you need to make it so that maybe your cell phone is sending you text alerts, little reminders, so that it's going to buzz so you don't forget these things because they're super important. Especially that 11:30 on the 11th, because everybody in the entire world is taking the exam at the same time. You have to do it during that time. Another thing that you can do, and some of you have done this already because I sent home an email about this, is that you need to be able to access my AP College Board account, so your account, and that's going to be kind of important. And if you haven't been getting emails from College Board, can't find them anywhere, you can click on this here, and there's a bunch of steps that you can follow to make sure your email address is configured. The truth is, that's not as important as being able to access your College Board account. That's the most important there of those two. All right. So during this presentation, there's 4 topics we're going to touch upon and go into a depth. We're going to talk about the AP exam e-ticket that you get that is going to let you take the exam. We're going to talk about what you should do to prepare before the exam, 5 steps you need to do. We're going to talk about the actual exam day, how to be successful on that exam day. And then the 4th thing we're going to talk about in this presentation is after the exam, exam scores, credit, placement, that kind of stuff. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is your exam ticket. So this is why it's kind of important that you can access the College Board account, because 2 days before the exam, again, your exam is Monday, May 11th. 2 days before that, so that would be Saturday, May 9th, you're going to get an email that's going to have an e-ticket. So if you look off to the right, that's what it will look like when you open up the email. It'll say, hi, your name. It'll say your AP Physics exam is several days, whatever. It's going to have an AP ID. And that ID is your unique ID. That's not for anybody else, okay? And so you'll get that, and then on the exam day, you're going to click on that little yellow button that says go to the exam, and you can start the exam then. Again, some of you haven't been getting emails, so don't worry if you're like, I haven't been getting any emails and I need that exam ticket. You're right, you need the exam ticket, but another way to get the exam ticket is you can go into my College Board account. So even if you're not getting the emails, you can still get your e-ticket. Since that e-ticket is unique, that digit on there is unique to you, it's not transferable. You can't share it with anybody, okay? Please understand test security. We're going to get into that at the very end. Test security is pretty important for a College Board. So you sharing it with other people, that's going to be a violation of test security. So don't be sharing it with anybody. One last thing is make sure you save that e-ticket. So don't think, well, I just got done with the test, I'm going to delete my emails and stuff. Excuse me. Make sure you save it, because just in case something goes wrong on the test and you're like, oh, you know, it didn't work, you know, it crashed on me or lost power or internet service went. My brother or sister was coming in here screaming I couldn't do my exam. Well, you can actually do a makeup exam, and you'll need that e-ticket to request that makeup exam. So save it. Again, your exam is going to be on May 11th, and the test starts at 12 noon. But you have to be on the computer 30 minutes earlier. So at 11:30, you're going to log on, and it's going to have a countdown. And you have to put in your ID and all this kind of stuff, okay? Right now, you need to be looking at your calendar and seeing if you have any significant conflict with that time and that exam, and let me know immediately. So, I don't know, maybe you're getting big toe surgery. I don't know. You need to let me know, okay, right away. Don't let me know like the day before the exam, the day exam is too late. You need to let me know right away. Okay, so what to expect on this exam? Well, some people may have been thinking, oh, this exam's going to be tougher. According to the presentation I attended last night, the College Board was assuring teachers this will not be tougher. So if you would have got a 5 on the exam, if there wasn't a pandemic, you're going to get a 5 on this one. Okay, if you would have got a 3, you're going to get a 3 on this one. Okay. The other thing that I want to point out on this slide is the very bottom there, because this is something that kind of concerned me when I looked at some of the practice problems that they have in um, the, the website so that you can do some practice, is that I noticed they seem to be kind of long. They said during the presentation that they kind of designed them that way. So you need to understand that you might not be able to answer all parts. So maybe there's, you know, A, B, C, D, all the way through G parts, and you just don't have enough time to answer all of them. Don't feel like you have to answer all of them to get that 5. It's possible to get a 5 without answering all of them, okay? But what's most important here is that you do submit. So let's say that you've only answered A and B and time's getting ready to expire, it's running out, and you weren't able to answer the other ones. You need to hit the submit button and submit those, okay? Because you could still get a good score. So that's pretty important. Don't go thinking just because time runs out, it automatically submits. That's not true. That's not like Canvas. No, you have to hit the submit button, okay? And by the way, you can only submit once. Don't think, oh, every time I hit submit, it's gonna just re-update. No, that's not. As soon as you hit submit, that problem's done, okay? So it's right at the end when you're like, okay, I've got as much done as I can in the time, then you hit submit. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is how you're going to submit your answers. There's actually 3 different ways you can do it, and you kind of have to be thinking right now which of these ways you think you're going to be doing it, okay? Because it's not like you can mix and match. You have to pick one, and whatever one you're doing is the one you're going to be doing on the test. So the first way that the College Board is recommending, and probably I'm going to be recommending too, is the one on the far left where it says copy and paste. So what this is you're going to open up a Word doc. So you're going to have a split screen. Okay, so you have a split screen on your computer, and on one side is going to be the website where the test question is, and the other side of your computer is going to be like a Word document. So you're going to read the question, and on the Word document, you're going to be typing in your answer. Okay, and then right at the end, when the time is ticking down, so you only have a few seconds left, Actually, no, you have 5 minutes left, not a few seconds. You're going to copy all the stuff that you wrote and you're going to paste it into the test. And then right before time runs out, or a couple minutes before time runs out, you're going to hit submit. Okay. That's the way that they recommend. And to me, I think that probably makes a lot more sense. The reason is now you have this copy over here on this Word document. Sometimes, I don't know if you've ever been to a website where you're typing in your responses on the website. Something happens with the website, it crashes, and all your answers are gone. You don't want that. That's panic mode, right? So that's why they're recommending using a Word document. That way you've got proof, verifiable proof right there it was, okay? The second method is similar to the first method, but instead of doing copy and paste, what you're gonna do is, let's say you have that Word document, again, split screen, that Word document, and what you can do is just simply save that Word document to some folder on your desktop, and then you can upload it to the website so you can attach that document. So that's another way to do it. Okay. The third method is the most different. I really don't recommend this method. I kind of got the sense from the College Board not to recommend this method. However, the reason they wanted to have this third method is perhaps students don't really have really good Wi-Fi, but they have a good cell phone. Almost everybody has cell phones. And what you could do is you could go ahead and answer the question on paper, and then you could use your cell phone to take a picture of it. The reason I don't recommend this method is, there's many reasons. One is, have you ever tried to read something on your cell phone, you notice you have to scroll? Usually that's not a big deal if you're looking at Facebook. But imagine looking at a physics problem and you have to look at A through G parts, right? And so you're looking at part A and then you have to scroll down, and then on a piece of paper you're answering the question. Well, that's kind of hard to do. So scrolling is a problem. The second problem is simply taking the picture. I can't tell you how many times students have taken a picture of a problem and emailed it because they forgot to turn in the lab or something. Well, you have to make sure you take a good picture. You have to have good lighting. You can't be having any blurred images. You have to make sure that when you wrote, your handwriting is legible. That's a lot of stuff to worry about in the time frame, right? And then you got to upload it. So I really don't think I recommend that method. Okay. One thing to say about these methods is, as far as your web browser is concerned, on whatever method you're using, it has to be either Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or Edge, Microsoft Edge, which I think that pretty much covers everything. But for anybody out there who's still using Internet Explorer, it will not work. So you need to get a different default web browser. Okay, more about that later. Okay, so now we're going to start talking a little bit about option one. So this is the one that's the most recommended. So again, if you look on the right, that's going to be your computer, your laptop. You're going to have a split screen. On the left-hand side, they have the AP exam website, okay? And that yellow button there, that's the submit button. They're also going to have a timer on there. You need to have that up there so you can see the time, right? You got to make sure that you're going to submit in time. The right-hand side is some kind of word processing program, either Google Docs, Microsoft Word, Notes, something like that, right? You need to understand you cannot save images in it. So I know some students are thinking right now, well, a lot of times I draw force diagrams. Yes, I like that you draw force diagrams, but you don't want to draw a force diagram on your Word document, and you don't want to take a picture of it and take an image and upload. No, there's no images. And so you might be thinking, well, how do you do that? Well, all your answers for this test will be answers that you can describe in words, like maybe you have something going down a ramp and it wants to know how would you find the acceleration, something like that. You just have to describe in words how you do that. So you could say something like, using kinematics, I know the distance, I know the initial velocity, I know the time, so I can solve for the acceleration this way, or whatever, okay? Or maybe I know what the coefficient of friction is and I can figure out what the normal force is, and therefore I can figure out, that kind of stuff. So it's all written and it's all typed out. So there's no drawing pictures, no graph.
Is there going to be a lot of math on this then, or is it going to be a lot of just knowing the process?
The College Board is very the College Board is very hard to pin down about that question. So there's lots of teachers asking that question and not a whole lot of answers. I think they don't want to give too much away. I think it's going to be more of a conceptual kind of test. I don't think there's going to be a lot of math. If I'm wrong, then what you would do is let's say let's say it is a ramp and you're trying to find the acceleration. Then you can go ahead and say, well, I use the equation v squared equals vi squared plus 2ad, and I solve for acceleration by plugging in the other things. So you maybe, and then you'd say whatever the acceleration is. So maybe. I have a feeling it's not going to be that at all. It's going to be more, how would you advise a student to solve this? And it would be something like, well, since you know the distance and you know what the initial velocity is and you know how long it took to get down, then you could just simply use the one of the kinematic equations where you know the initial velocity, you know the distance, you know the time to solve for the acceleration. Maybe you could even type in the generic equation d equals vit plus 1/2 at squared and then solve it, something like that. So in other words, you're not solving a numerical answer. That's my gut. That's what I think is going to happen. Good question. Good question. In this case, let's say you're taking, option one, you're going to type it in, so word typing, and then you're going to copy and paste it into the web browser where the answer is supposed to be submitted. At the very top, you need to put what your AP ID is. Remember, that's the thing you're going to get 2 days before the exam, and your initials. The College Board, according to the meeting I went to last night, they said they're not too worried about this, but just in case something happened and maybe files got mixed around or something, at least they could use that information when you copy and paste that. They could use that information to say, oh, that's this student and that's their work or whatever. But they're not too worried about losing stuff. So that just on the off case that you forgot to put that ID in your initials, I think it's going to be okay. The thing I really want to point out here, though, is this. Again, there's going to be a timer on the left-hand side. So I think the first problem, if I remember right, is 25 minutes. And so you have 25 minutes to actually type your answer. And then it's going to say, okay, as soon as it gets to 5 minutes, it's going to turn red and says you have 5 more minutes. That 5 minutes is when you're supposed to be copying your answer and then pasting it in. So you have 5 minutes that window to paste that in. Before that gets down to 0 seconds, you need to hit submit. Okay. If you don't hit submit, it's not like Canvas. If you don't hit submit, nothing was submitted. Okay. That's scary for me. So you got to be careful about that. Also, the other thing I'm a little bit worried about with the submit thing is these questions are going to have multiple parts like A, B, C, D. So you might paste in A and then you're getting ready to do B. I'm worried about somebody hitting submit after they do part A, because that would be wrong too. Because then what it'll do is it will just submit A and you're done now with problem number 1. You can't go back in. So you only submit at right when it gets down to, you got that 5-minute window. As soon as it's in that red 5-minute window, you got to hit submit before it's 0. Or you hit, let's say you got plenty of time, you only hit submit after you put everything in. Okay, so not after A, B, C, no, just one. You're going to hit submit twice because there's 2 questions with multiple parts. So once you're done for problem number 1, or it's down to almost 0, then you hit submit for problem 1. And then you go into problem 2, same thing. It's going to have multiple parts, let's say A, B, and C. So you're going to enter your answers A, B, and C and hit submit, or if time's running out, then you hit submit. So you're only going to hit submit total of twice. So I'm a little bit worried about that. So this bottom part, again, is just talking about how you're going to have your windows, it's kind of a split screen. On one side, you're going to have the web browser, and again, only those that it says there. On the other side is going to be your Word document. Okay. So that was the first method that the College Board kind of recommends, and I think I'm recommending too. The other possibility is that you could do the following. Instead of pasting it in, you could, let's say, type your answer into Word document. You could then save that into a file on your desktop. I would recommend making that file now, not on the day of the test. That way you're well prepared, like AP Physics test. And save it in there and then upload it into the system. That way the whole thing's there. The problem with that is I think that's one extra step and it takes a little bit more time. The other problem with that is the following. You kind of need to be planned out ahead of time. So I would, if this is the method, you're like, oh yeah, I like that method. You need to right now make or pretty soon anyway, you need to make a file on your desktop that says AP Physics. You need to go ahead and make 2 documents in there right now. One that says AP Physics problem 1 and the other one says AP Physics problem 2, because this is my worry. If you don't name them right now, after you get done with problem number 1 and you don't name it anything, you know, that's going to be something that you'll have 2 documents in there. What if you accidentally upload the wrong document? You upload the blank document. That's not good. Okay. Again, don't include images. So no force diagrams or anything. So I think it's more than, oh, don't do that because it's not going to help you. No, that's not it. My understanding is it's one or the other. Remember I told you the cell phone method, which we haven't talked about yet, that will be images. If you're doing a document and an image, this is what they're thinking. I'm telling you right now, this is what they're thinking. They're thinking you're cheating. They're thinking you're using more than one device and you're only allowed to use one device. And so don't do that. Okay. All right. Again, as far as the document, if this is the method you want to do where you download it and then you upload it into the website, you need to make sure that on the document at the top it has your AP ID that you get on May 9th and has your initials on there. And again, you're going to have 2 documents. Again, the same thing that I'm a little bit worried about is make sure that when that timer gets down to within that red window of 5 minutes, that you don't just sit there and think it's going to automatically upload. You have to hit submit. Okay. All right, wait, let me go back here. Is there anything else? No, I think that's good enough. All right. Okay, this is option 3. This is the way you can do it. I don't recommend it. College Board doesn't recommend it. This is using your smartphone, your cell phone. Okay. With the cell phone, you would have to look at the cell phone and see the question because it's only one device allowed. So you look at the question, then you're going to, by hand, write it on a piece of paper. You have to write legibly, all that kind of stuff. You might have to scroll on your cell phone. And then when that gets down to the 5 minute, where you have 5 minutes critical to get it submitted, you have to take a picture. It has to be a beautiful picture, no blurry. It has to have perfect lighting that I can read this, everything, right? And you have to get it submitted. You have to upload it and then submit it before that 5 minute runs out. Okay. Again, at the top of that document that you're writing by hand, make sure it has your AP ID. So if you're like, yeah, I kind of like this method best. If you're like that, that's what you want. You're a cell phone addict. You need to right now go ahead and get some paper ready that's going to have your AP ID at the top. And it's going to have page numbers at the top because maybe you had to use multiple pages. You're only allowed 5 pages, I think. So let's say you use all 5 pages. So make sure you numbered those pages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Please understand that if you have 5 pages, you're going to have to take 5 pictures. You're going to have to get all 5 of those pictures uploaded in that 5 minute window. Okay. And then again, don't forget that you need to hit submit before that time runs out or it's all for nothing. And by the way, the only acceptable format for those pictures are what's shown there, PNG, JPG, and JPEG. Okay. Just a note to you again, think about it, scrolling is going to be hard. Everything has to be done on your cell phone for this method. You can't have cell phone and computer. That won't work. Again, warning bells are going to go off. It should go off your head. They're thinking possible cheating. That's what they're thinking. So let's say something goes wrong or something during the exam, okay? Don't think that, okay, that's it. I didn't do well. It's possible that you can do a makeup exam, okay? So they gave lots of instances. They talked about battery failure. By the way, that reminds me of something. Don't forget, you need to have your computer charged up you know, always keep it plugged in or something, right? Keep it plugged up. But let's say you have a power failure, or let's say your computer crashes. Let's say you lose Wi-Fi. Let's say they even mentioned this. Well, let's say you have little brothers and sisters running, they're just screaming, they're carrying on, and you just cannot get any privacy, and it definitely affected your score. Well, you can definitely request a makeup exam opportunity. So after the exam, you'll get a little information sheet, a little form here, and you can request an e-ticket for that June makeup. If you don't get it, there's this link. Again, I shared this PowerPoint with you, so you can click that and get that makeup. But you need to understand that that e-ticket for the May 11th test, you got to hold on to it because they're going to ask for it here to get the makeup, okay? You also have to submit that request within 48 hours of that May 11th exam to get the makeup. Let's see. You will find out by the week of May 25th whether it's approved or denied. Let's see. Oh, they said, I thought this was kind of funny. They said don't try to call their call centers, mostly for your benefit because the call centers don't have anybody manning them right now. So you're not going to get anybody's. You're not going to get your answers answered. So you have to go to that website. This is important though. Oops, wait, why did they go away? Okay, so down here at the bottom, I'm not sure why it was supposed to kind of highlight it. I want you to understand that failure to hit the submit button, that is not an excuse. So your brother coming in screaming or whatever, your little sister coming in and screaming, that is an excuse why you didn't do well and you should get a makeup exam. But you forgetting to hit the submit before time ran out, that's not an excuse. So just be aware of that. Okay. All right, so the next thing, we're on part 2. Remember, there's 4 parts. This is part 2 of the presentation. It's the 5 steps you can do before the exam day. Okay, so the first thing is you can review your contact information and the MyAP site that you have, your College Board site, which some of you have done already, some of you haven't. Please do that. The next thing, step 2, is you can check your tech device. So remember, there's 3 options. Either you can do it on a Word doc and you can copy and paste. You can do it in a Word doc, save the Word doc and upload the Word doc. That's option 2. Or you can take a picture with your cell phone and then save it as a JPEG or something, upload that picture. So that means you need to be checking out that technology to figure out if it's going to be working for you, whichever your preferred method is. Step 3 is submitting or doing a practice. And so that's what's related to Monday. This coming Monday, May the 4th, we're going to be doing a practice demo. You're not going to get a physics question. It has nothing to do with physics question. It's not, I don't want you to think an AP practice physics exam. That's not what it is. What it is to see if you can access the website, first of all. Second of all, it's kind of like you're practicing those last 5 minutes of, can I upload my document? Can I copy and paste? Can I upload my picture if that's the method I'm going to do? So that's what it's all about on May 4th. If you can't access the website, the demo, you won't be able to access the test. And so we need to get that figured out. The 4th thing is to gather materials that you will need for the test. And that's kind of related to what I had at the very beginning. And that is equation table. And you should be printing that out or emailing me if you can't print it out. And also calculator. So you should have that ready. And I forgot to put on there the AP check sheet, which I had at the very beginning. So that link.
Where's the equation table, like on Canvas?
The equation table?
Calendar?
Say that again?
Is it like on the calendar? Like, where is it linked?
Okay, are you talking about the equation table?
Yeah.
Okay, so I sent you this PowerPoint presentation in your email.
Oh,
okay. If you open up that PowerPoint presentation, you can click on the hypertext link and then that will give it to you right there, okay?
Thank you.
Yep. And then also the 5th thing is then before the exam, 2 days before the exam, you'll get your e-ticket, okay? And if you don't get an email, that's okay. You'll go into MyAP account and you'll get it that way. So that's all the stuff before the exam. And we're gonna go through each one of those. So step 1. So you're gonna be reviewing your information by going to your My College account, College Board account. Some of you have already done it. Make sure it's all updated, okay? The second thing is checking your tech. Well, there's 3 different ways to do this, so we need to check all of them, whether it's going to be copy paste, whether it's going to be saving the document and then attaching the document, or whether using your cell phones and taking a picture and uploading the picture, okay? So let's talk about like the first one. You won't need a lockdown browser, so don't be thinking you need to download a lockdown browser. Nope. The other next thing I have here is something about Grammarly. I really don't know anything about it, so I'm kind of hoping you know something about it. If you have Grammarly on your computer, according to the College Board, you need to disable that or remove that. Here's the reason, is that website where you're pasting stuff or uploading stuff, it doesn't work with Grammarly, okay? So I know some of you might be thinking, oh, I want to have Grammarly, that way I can write real beautiful prose over here to copy and paste. No, that's not how you're going to be graded anyway, okay? So that's not really going to help you. So you need to disable that. By the way, if you don't do that, as soon as you try the demo on Monday, it won't work for you. Okay, so we need to figure out how to do that. If you're like, I don't know how to do that, send me an email and I'll see if I can find some tech people to help you. Okay. If you're still trying to figure out, hey, should I type it, copy and paste, or should I take a picture with my cell phone? This is some stuff to keep in mind. This year's exam does not require you to do graphs or diagrams or anything like that. So don't go thinking, well, I would like to do typing, but I can't do force diagrams or I can't do graphs. That's all right, because there won't be any diagrams. There won't be any graphs. So they're really trying to help you to decide, hey, I want to type it out. That's the way they would like you to. The next thing I have here is probably more for people with chemistry or for calculus or chemistry. But I know some of you might be thinking, well, what about with physics where you have to do integration or something like that? Well, if you really want to do some symbols there, there's a website you can go to, but this is my understanding. Again, they're kind of vague with College Board, but I think it's more going to be descriptive. Like for instance, the stuff we're doing right now with impulse, maybe you're not going to have to do some calculus, you're not going to have to show a symbol of integration, but maybe it'll say, hey, how would you find the impulse from a forced time graph? I think you would say something like, oh, you would have to integrate the forced time graph to find the impulse. Something like that. You're describing, hey, I have to integrate to find the area or something like that. It's not going to be calculating stuff, okay? I think, that's my thinking. And then in the last thing, again, they're kind of trying to get you to see cell phones probably not the best method, and that is you're going to have to deal with scrolling. Still checking your tech for your device. If you're trying to decide, do I use Google Docs or Microsoft Word or what exactly? Well, whatever you use, you really need to make sure you enable the autosave feature. So maybe Google, how do you autosave something? Because you want to make sure that if something crashes or something, you still have all your work. You don't want to be, remember that one question is 25 minutes? You don't want to be 10, 15 minutes into this and all of a sudden something goes wrong, right? You want it to automatically save it, right? So you should save often anyway, but you kind of want to have this autosave feature enabled. If you're using the cloud like Google Docs and you want to attach that document, so in other words, remember you're doing method 2 instead of copy paste, you want to attach that Google document, you need to understand that you got to download that and save it to your desktop somewhere as either a doc, DOC, a docs, DOCX, a .pdf, or a TXT. Again, remember there's no pictures. You can't have pictures on there, okay? Because they're thinking you cheated. You use 2 devices if they see a picture. If you're thinking about doing this method where you're going to have it, you're not going to do copy paste, you're just simply going to save that document to your desktop and then you're going to upload the document. That's going to be your submission. Don't forget that you want your AP ID at the top and your initials. So I would recommend, if you're thinking, yeah, that's the method I want to do, you need to be making these forms right now. You're going to have 2 of them, one for question 1, one for question 2. And at the bottom, this is what I would name them. I would call one AP Physics question 1, let's say docs, DOCX, and the other one, AP Physics question 2, .DCOX. The reason that you want to do that is so that when you're uploading the documents, you don't accidentally grab the wrong document, right? You're doing question 1, or let's say you're doing question 2. You don't want to accidentally grab question 1. No, that's bad. The other thing is, right now, what you could do on those documents is you could put your, well, you can't put your AP ID because you'll get that on the 9th, but you can go ahead and put your initials there so it's already saved that way. If that's method 2, if that's what you want to do, as opposed to copy and paste. If you're doing method 3, which again is not something I'm recommending or the College Board is recommending, but you're using a cell phone, you need to understand what you're doing is you're looking at cell phone, scrolling, looking at the question, and you're writing by hand your answer. You want to make sure you're using white paper. That way it gives you very good contrast. It's easier to see the picture. It doesn't matter if it's lined or not. It needs to be standard paper, 8.5 by 11. You need to use a number 2 or black or blue ink. I don't recommend ink because, well, students make mistakes in physics, so I recommend pencil, right? You need to understand that for any particular question, you can't have any more than 5 pages, and please number the pages at the top and also put your AP ID at the top as well, and your initials. For each page, you're going to have to take a picture of each one of those pages when you upload them. So keep that in mind too. Okay, so step 3. Now let's talk about the AP demo, which is this coming Monday. Okay, this is where you're going to practice. Okay, can I get to the site? Can I upload, can I copy paste my answer, or can I upload my document, or can I upload my picture if I'm using a cell phone? That's what it's all about. Okay. If your browser isn't set up right, so you're using Internet Explorer or something like that, I'm going to talk about how to fix that on slide 31 at the very end. Okay. But what's most important about this slide is on May 4th, if you're like, I can't even get to the site or it's not working for me at all, you need to let me know immediately. Send me an email right away. Okay. All right, so on exam day, so this would be May the 11th, you will need your e-ticket, which you will have received on the 9th. I would recommend that you have that AP exam day checklist. We'll talk about that in a minute. That was the very beginning. I give you the link for that. You got your laptop, tablet, smartphone, whatever you're using, all charged up, ready to go. You got the right browser on there, your internet connection, speed, is everything good? Nobody's going to, by the way, nobody's going to be using your wireless but you, right? You need to have conversation with everybody in your family, right? Nobody's on Netflix streaming their favorite whatever movie. Nobody is doing those massive online games or anything. They need to understand how important this time is to you, right? So you need to have that conversation. They can go outside and play. Your test, it's the bottom one here, is you can have that equation table, which I gave you a link to in the very beginning. You're going to print it out. If you can't, you're going to email me. You're also going to have your calculator. You need to understand that you can also have notes. You can have paper notes. You can have your textbook. Whatever you want to have. I recommend not having too much because it might seem like a comforting blanket right now. Well, on test day, that comforting blanket is going to be smothering you. Yeah, you'll feel smothered by it. Like, where do I begin? Less is better. I'm going to have to move this. All right. In fact, I want to talk about that a little bit. This is the optional resources. This is kind of an open note exam. You can use any notes. You could use your computer, anything like that, right? You need to be careful, though, about some of this stuff. So, for instance, internet searches. Yes, you can do internet searches, but you need to understand the College Board knows about this stuff, right? The internet, I really don't think is going to help you. In fact, it's going to waste your time. I do not recommend it. The other thing is that if you were thinking, oh, great, I'll go to some site and I will be able to copy and paste answers. You need to understand they've got full-time people using plagiarism stuff, and they'll be able to figure out if you did that. Not a good idea. And I know there are people that cheat. You don't want to be one of those. I had somebody cheat on this last exam before spring break. To me, I don't care that much about it. It was kind of funny because all my problems were different. They had different numbers. It was obvious that they looked at their buddies and they just copied. They copied and pasted. It was funny because it was different numbers. Didn't help them anyway. The College Board is a little bit more strict than that. They do care, and they're going to pursue that person, and that's not a good. It's not worth it. It's basically what I'm saying. I usually tell people who think about going to engineering anyway, even if you get a 5, I recommend that you take the class. I know you think that sounds crazy, but here's the reason why. You're going to get an A. In fact, if you get a 3, you're going to get an A in that physics course when you go to college. You're probably going to be teaching all your friends, maybe make some money off it. You're going to be impressing your professor. You're going to get so many opportunities. You're going to make so many connections. You can get jobs and internships. Now, I understand if you're going to go into business, or I had a student that went into music appreciation. I have another student who was going to go into sports broadcasting. If you're going to be a teacher, or, elementary school teacher, I understand, you want to get a good score, but probably you only need to get a 3. Okay. So I would not worry too much about this, do the best you can. Just keep in mind that, you don't want to even have the appearance of maybe cheating. Okay. So I don't think I'd use the internet. I would maybe have a few notes there. Like, for instance, let's say you are always having a hard time with those force diagrams when it's on a ramp. Okay, work out a problem right now, and have an example there so you can look at it. But don't try to lower that down to only having a few pages of notes, not lots and lots. Okay. Great. All right. So May 4th, again, we're going to have the demo. Okay, and then 2 days before the exam, you're going to be getting your e-ticket. So on Saturday, May 9th. And if you don't get an email, that's okay. You'll go into your College Board account, and that's where you'll find your AP ID. Oops, I feel like I went too far. Yes, I went too far. Sorry. So this is the second link I gave you on the very first slide about the AP exam checklist. I really recommend that you print out one of these for each one of the AP exams you have. You can't have one just for all your AP exams. You need one for each AP exam. And it's helpful because it has a little check sheet to see if you're all ready. It's almost like, it's nice when you go on vacation, you gotta make sure you got your toothbrush and everything. It's got a little check sheet. Make sure you have all that stuff. And at the top, you're going to be putting your ID. So you don't have to look all around for it on test day. You'll have it right there, okay? And so I recommend that you have that, and that'll really help you. And again, 30 minutes before, so 11:30 on Monday, May 11th. So then on exam day, so this is the third part of this discussion. There's only one more part after this. On exam day, 30 minutes before the exam. So the exam for you guys is noon. So 11:30, you will open up your email, and you'll click on that link, and you'll go to the website, and you'll type in your code that you have, okay? And you'll have to wait there. You might have to put some other stuff, but you'll have to wait there for a little while until it opens up. And then when it opens up, you'll have 25 minutes to read the question and then answer your question, compose it on that split screen. And then you'll have 5 minutes to submit your answer. So it'll turn red, count down 5 minutes, and you'll either copy and paste it in, or you'll download it to your desktop and then re-upload it into the testing program, okay? Before that 5 minutes runs out, you need to hit submit. Okay, then the next question will appear, and it'll be the same thing, except it's a shorter question, and you have 15 minutes, okay? And you do the exact same thing. You might have the question, what if it doesn't take me 25 minutes for the first one? That's okay. So let's say it only takes you 10 minutes and you're ready to upload your answer. Yep, go ahead and upload it, and you're ready even to submit. So maybe only 20 minutes have passed by. Can I go ahead and hit submit? Yes, you can. Go ahead and hit submit. Please understand though, you're gonna be waiting there for a while. You can't go on to the next problem. Why? Because this is a worldwide simultaneous testing. People in China are taking the exact same time you are. That is a testing security method. That way people can't be talking across the world sharing answers. Everybody's taking at the same time. Okay, think a little bit ahead of time for your testing environment. You want some place where you're not going to have distractions, where it's going to be quiet. You're going to talk to your parents. You're going to talk to your brothers and sisters at how important that time is for you. You're going to make sure they're not bothering you. You're going to be somewhere where everybody's quiet. They're respectful of your the situation you're in. Okay. They're going to make sure you're going to have that discussion that they're not on Netflix streaming something. They're not downloading music or videos. They're not playing Fortnite. They're not playing video games. They're eating up bandwidth on you. Okay. you have all your materials there, your formula sheet and everything, your checklist, and your calculator is going to have maybe another set of batteries, so you're all ready. Okay. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about exam security. Again, remember this is open note. Yes, you can actually even use other people's notes, but it has to be downloaded to your computer. Okay, so it's not like you can be working together with other people, right? You got to make sure you don't want even the perception that maybe there could have been cheating going on, right? So you got to be careful about that. Let's see. Let's say your mom's an engineer or your dad's an engineer. You got to make sure they're not coming in and talking to you during this time, right? There can't be any. Even you might be thinking, how are they going to know? You know what? College Board is so big. I don't know how they know. It's almost like they're, the Men in Black or something. I don't know. All I know is this: they have statisticians. I don't even understand their jobs. They're using fancy words. I don't know what this stuff is. But not only do they have the programs for plagiarism, but these statisticians can look at anomalies in the data. And if something doesn't look right, they're going to investigate. Maybe it was nothing, but maybe it was something. And they're going to investigate, and they're kind of dogged about it. So just be aware of that. Okay. All right. I think I mentioned everything there. All right. So this is exam day. Checking into your exam again, 30 minutes before, so 11:30 on May 11th. You're going to check in, and on the right-hand side, this is what it look like. So you'll enter in your APID, and then you'll click continue, and there will be a little timer that says, "Hey, the exam starts in another 3 minutes and 2 seconds," and you're just going to have to sit there and be patient. Oh, there's something I should have mentioned here, probably throughout, is it's very important that just like the Grammarly, you don't want to have that on there. You want to make sure that you submit. Another thing that's pretty important is that you don't hit the refresh button and you don't hit the back button. Okay, so don't do that stuff because it could mess up stuff. So, those things are kind of most important. So you hit submit before the time runs out. You don't have Grammarly, you don't have Internet Explorer. You don't hit refresh, you don't hit the back button. Those are some things that are kind of important. Answering the exam, you need to understand the questions are going to probably have multiple parts, like maybe it's A through G, let's say. It's really important that if you're doing the cell phone method, you're taking pictures, that you label those parts, right? You have your APID at the top, you have page number 1, whatever, and you also label them A, B, so on. It might be the same thing also if you're doing copy and paste. You want to make sure there might be different parts for plugging in your answer for A, for B, for C. I don't know exactly, but you want to make sure that you put A where A goes, or maybe you even want to label part A and that goes in and so on, okay? Or let's say you're saving as a document and you're uploading. You should still label what part A is and B and so on, okay? Let's see. Again, I talked about Grammarly. Let's see. Oh, again, don't panic if you're not able, let's say time's starting to run out and A through G, and you weren't able to get everything, all the A through G. You could still maybe get a 5, okay? Don't be panicking about that. They purposely made this exam so you might not have enough time, okay? But what is most important is that you have to hit submit before the time runs out. So let's say you only got A and B done. There's still C, D, and E you didn't get to. Okay, before time runs out, make sure you've uploaded those and make sure you hit submit, even if you didn't get those other 3. Okay. The next thing is that once you submit a question, you can't go back. So this is another fear I have. You're only going to be hitting submit twice. I have a fear that, especially with parts A, B, and C, I have a fear that somebody's going to do part A, put part A in, and they're going to hit submit, and I'm really worried. Because when you hit submit, what that means is you're now done with part 1 or problem 1. That means A got entered, but B, C, D, E, and everything else, those were all zeros, even though you had another 20 minutes. So you'll put A in, don't hit submit, you're going to do B, you're going to do C, as much as you can get done in that time, and then you're hit submit before time runs out. Okay, managing your time. During the exam, again, you're going to have kind of a split screen. assuming you do methods 1 or 2. And it's going to have the timer on there. So you just need to understand that when you get down to that red, when it says, you know, when you're 5 minutes or less, you need to be submitting your work then, either copying and pasting or uploading your documents or uploading your pictures if you're using a cell phone, okay? So you need to, before it gets down to 0, you need to hit submit for that, right? Yeah, and I think I've stressed that enough, I think. And again, we talked about the makeup test that, you know, there's lots of acceptable reasons. Little brothers, sisters driving you nuts during the test. That's an acceptable reason. But what's not acceptable is that if you forgot to hit submit before the time runs out, that's not acceptable for a makeup test. Okay, so then submitting your response. It's really kind of a two-step process. So let's say you're doing method one. Actually, this is true for method 1, 2, or 3. Let's say method 1, that's where you're doing copy and paste. So step 1 would be copying your work document, copying and then pasting. That's step 1. And step 2 would be submit. Let's say you're doing option 2. That's where you're making the Word document, saving it to your desktop, and then uploading it into the web browser. So attaching it. So that would be step 1, attaching it. And then step 2, hitting submit. Or let's say you're doing the cell phone method. You're going to be taking pictures of everything that you've written by hand, right? So you had to do all this writing by hand, take pictures of it. One problem, maybe has 5 pictures, I don't know. You're going to have to attach all 5 of those pictures, and then you click submit. So it's a 2-step process, okay? And you have to do that before the time runs out. Okay, so now I need to talk about a little bit here. So as long as you hit submit before the time runs out, you're good. Okay, so let's say time got down to, you know, 2 seconds. 2 seconds, boom, you hit submit. Whew, you made it. You're good. But let's say it's still uploading. That's all right. Don't worry about it. It's going to keep on uploading. You're good to go. All right. But let's say now we're on the second problem. So you remember there's 2 problems. You did number 1, number 2. Same thing. You got down to 2 seconds and you hit submit. Good. You're good to go. It's still uploading. I don't want you, and of course, that second problem, you're done. I don't want you to go, oh, sweet, submit. I hit submit. I'm done. I'm closing up my computer. I'm going to go have fun now. No, don't do that. You got to stay there. Even though you hit submit, you're good, but you got to stay there until it finishes uploading. Okay. So you can't just close up your computer. It's got to finish uploading. So you'll know when it's finished uploading is you'll get your exam, AP exam is complete message. Okay. And then you're good. Okay. And again, if you don't see that, then you'll go to that website to request a makeup exam date. Okay, saying all that stuff, what could go wrong? Well, there's lots of things that could go wrong, right? Your browser could crash, device crash, you accidentally close your browser, you lose internet for a little bit, somebody forgot and was actually on Netflix and they interrupted your service and you yelled at them, you told them to get off or whatever. That's okay, don't panic. So assuming you still had time, all you have to do is get them off the internet so you got the bandwidth you need. You go back to your e-ticket and click on it and get back into exam. That's not a problem, okay? So don't panic, you can still get back in there. One thing though they pointed out is, again, don't call customer service because there's going to be nobody there to staff those. Nobody's going to answer your questions. And again, don't hit refresh. Don't hit the back. If that happened, or where things crash, somebody's on Netflix downloading and something crashed. You're like, what's going on here? So often, I know for me, so often I just hit refresh, think that's going to cure it. Don't do that. That will mess things up. Don't do that. Don't hit the back button. Just get them off of it. Go back to your e-ticket. Get back in there again. Okay, the last part of this talk. I'm sorry it's so long, but there's a lot of stuff here. All right. Again, they say that this exam is not going to be any harder, so don't worry about maybe I didn't get through everything. You could still get a 5, and there are going to be people grading them, knowing about this stuff. In terms of when you get these scores back, usually you get these scores back like around July 4th. but because of this new way of doing things, they're going to need an extra week, so you won't get your scores until July 15th. Let's say you take the exam and right afterwards you're like, yeah, I think I did pretty good on this. That's good. That's pretty good. You're like, a lot better than I thought I was going to do. You can go back into your AP account before June 20th, and you can actually ask them to submit it to other colleges, your scores, and I don't think it costs you anything. Let's say after July 15th, you get your scores and you're like, whoa, I did pretty good. I wish I would have sent it here. That's okay. You can go back in your account. Now this time it's going to cost, but $15 compared to taking a classic college. If you wanted to test out of it, let's say you're going to go into business, it's probably worth it. Okay, so you can still have it sent. And this is the last slide. So if you remember, we talked about if there were some other things that you could worry about right now before the demo day, which is next Monday, is make sure you have the right web browser, like Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, definitely not Microsoft, definitely not Internet Explorer. One way to check that, if you're like, I don't know what he's talking about there, one way to check that is go to your favorite website or whatever, find a website, copy the URL, open up an email, make an email to yourself and send it to yourself. Close down your website, your browser, open up the email. You can't use your Google email because that's a browser, right? So I don't know, something else. And if you click on that link, whatever browser pops up, that's your default browser. It has to be either Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or Edge. And so if it's not, you're going to have to change that default browser. You also need to disable plugins that you have or extensions like Grammarly that I've already talked about. And so you might have to do a Google search. How do you disable those? Right. And I think that is it. So I know I really went long there. I really am sorry about that. We don't have time to do any whiteboarding problems, but I would like you to do this this checking. Oh, I have to share my screen again with you. Wait a second. Let me close this out. Come on, dang it. Hold on. Let me share my screen again with you. I would like you to do this quiz. Wait a second. Yeah, this one day. I'm kind of tired. I was up late last night. I would like you to do this quiz. This quiz is kind of over worksheet 2 and 3, but it's conservation momentum stuff. I think you should be fine on it anyway. Also, I need to talk about number 3 here, where I said there's going to be an impulse momentum test on Monday. Nope, I'm going to have to change that because I didn't know about the demo on Monday. So on Monday, we're going to be doing that demo, making sure that works for you. So I'm going to have to push it off until Wednesday. If you can do this little quiz that I have on here, this attendance quiz where you're doing conservation momentum stuff, and you're like, I have no problem, then you're not going to have any problem on that impulse momentum test either. So that's one of the reasons why I want you to do this practice quiz. I need to give you the code. So let me click on this. The code is, this is uppercase S 943, lowercase k 4, lowercase p 49. Uppercase S 943, lowercase k 4, lowercase p 49. There's only 5 questions on there. Okay, if you need help, send me an email or something. I need to kind of get a picture of you guys. Is there any questions though before? Sorry, I'm kind of, my brain's all muddled. I was up super late making this PowerPoint and stuff, so. No question, okay, let me get a picture then. Snip. All right, okay. I'm not even sure why I need this picture, but there might be a reason, I don't know. Any questions? Okay, I can't think of anything. So Monday we're doing the demo thing then. All right, that's it then. See you later. Bye.